So I'm going to show you some of the things that Stutter is capable of in terms of sound design and as a compositional tool. One of the really cool things that I've seen people use this plugin for that I never anticipated is this kind of aleatoric or random idea generator. So people will play a kind of hocketed together bass line figure and put Stutter Edit over top of it, and then it will start spitting out these interesting iterations of what you've done or what you've recorded. Also, too, super cool with vocals, with guitars, with drums. I've seen people do amazing things with this that I absolutely never anticipated. Now you have people singing through it live, which is totally blowing my mind. Now, what is really fundamentally different about this plugin, and part of what makes it really special, and I should have probably prefaced this whole conversation with this, but it warrants saying now, is Stutter Edit is a playable effect, and it is unique in this paradigm of DSP. So when you think of a delay or reverb or chorus, you think of a static effect or effect that has some sort of modulation to it, a reverb that sort of shimmers out the different delay lines and makes something that sounds that sounds like a regular acoustic reverb or convolution reverb or whatever it is. But it's a static thing. You instantiate an effect, you put it on your snare drum, you have a reverb, and it lives there, right? This is not that at all. It's a really different and very new sort of paradigm, as it were, with effects. And what it is it's an effect that you actually play. So if you take an instance of Stutter Edit here, we're going to put it on our bass line. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on the master fader because that gets really exciting really quickly. So I'm going to put this on the master fader, okay? So if I just leave that there, it's not going to do anything. Okay, I actually have to send MIDI to it like it was a soft synth. Now you can see that Stutter Edit completely state changes on key down. Now, that in itself, I could just sort of do all day. In fact, I probably have. But what is really cool about that, like I said before, is this happens rhythmically. So you get all of these kind of happy sound accidents. And that being said, too, they're these really complicated events. They're not things, they're things that I would have to sit and meticulously plan out to, a specific kind of edit event to achieve, that you want to interpolate between notes and you want it to happen over a half note. I'd have to sit down and figure out, subdivide samples and how many samples have to occur between each one of those things. It's literally as simple as a key down on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab like a drum loop here at the beginning of my song, The Emergency, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to use this. Okay, so we've got a really simple drum loop here from the beginning of the song, and that happens totally in time. So before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to tell you what some of these things are. And let me just show you for a second, then I'll tell you what some of the things are. Again, all these things happen in real time. So here you go. All of that is happening in real time. Now, when I'm performing, I can take something and recontextualize it to the extent that it sounds like a remix. Getting under the hood of this thing a little bit and showing you some of what's going on, there are a bunch of different effects in Stutter Edit that constitute a gesture. And again, a gesture is a bunch of effects doing something over a preordained period of time, which is a gesture length. Now, I remember when Stutter Edit came out, most, like the 90% all freaked out and it was exciting, right? 10% of people said, oh my God, well wait, can you automate each one of these timelines? And I was literally like responding to people myself on message boards saying, why would you want to do that? It's literally like having 50 hands. So with a single key down, you're able to macro control all of these different effects at once. it sort of defeats the design aesthetic. Like, it's made to have all of these parameters modulating with a single key down. That's what's exciting about it, is you can do 50 different things at once using one finger. What's going on under the hood here is we have a bunch of different effects, right? The first of which being stutter. You've got the different note values, right? So you have from half notes up to 1,024th notes. Like I was discussing with you prior to showing you this, eventually at a certain point, rhythm becomes expressed as pitch. So rhythmic repetition of something becomes expressed audibly as pitch. So around this area of 1,024th notes, depends on the tempo, you start getting into pitch. So one of the things that's ridiculously cool that this does is you can actually do these stutter edit gestures where it flies out into an arpeggio. I've never seen anything that does this. And I'm going to just show you simply 16th note repetition here. Okay, so we got... Okay, I did something a little tricky there. Something I forgot to mention is there's a macro filter that we've designed that is resonant high-pass filter in one direction on the pitch bend wheel and resonant low-pass filter in the other direction. And it's really made for live performance. Although, having said that, it's incredible to use in the studio. So that was 16th notes, right? Now, I'm going to just turn on some other note values in my grid up here. And still I've got 16th notes selected. But, we'll listen to it again. Now I'm going to change this. So we go from 64th notes to 16th notes. So that's immediately getting more exciting. Let's say we're going to go from 256 notes. And again, you see that pops in and out on time. I can only trigger that gesture on eighth notes. That's the stutter effect. Again, we've got this thing going from 256 notes down to 16th notes, and I'm going to expand the width of it so it goes up into pitch. So here we go again. All right, so we've got that. Now, also too, you can flip these handles. So I'm going to start a rhythm. Now, I need to show you the next effect, which is quantize, because we're splining through those different values, rhythmic values, which are actually pitches, but you can't hear them. It just sounds like this portamentoed curve. Well, using this quantize effect here, you can walk, or we call it drunken walk, is a Max term, sorry, program speak, different ways of interpolating through this curve that's happening. And one of them is to step or to skip, and then you start hearing things expressed as pitch. So also, too, it's variable how you query the table. You can query it in eighth notes, so I want to step every eighth note, I want to step every 16th note. You can also have it so it starts out stepping in 16th notes, and it ends up stepping in 256 notes. And you get into instant sort of chiptunes type arpeggio things using this, which is really, really cool. So right now I'm gonna put it on 16th notes, and now you will hear the individual pitches. So you can do these things where you start in rhythm and fly out into pitch. Something else I didn't show you guys, there's an entire area of this called the generator. And in this generator, you can actually make noise bursts and noise sweeps, things that weren't even in the recording to begin with. And all of these can pass through its own stage of effects, and you can mix those through the stutter edit gestures. So you can make build-ups that happen in a recording that weren't even there. These big noise sweep. People have all these Vengeance noise sweep libraries. You can make stuff like that totally live, and it will cut off on beat. You can have a thing that lasts for 8 bars and is a sweeping, a exponentially sweeping noise thing, and that releases into a delay line at the end of it. And it sounds like someone sat there and meticulously programmed these things in a studio, but you can do them live. This is warrant saying, too, this is a really, really deep plugin. with what seems like, a finite amount of controls, but it reminds me sort of circuit bending, how these things interact, become the instruments unto themselves. There's these weird sweet spots where you'll only be using 2 or 3 of the parts of the DSP engine, and you just are in no man's land. You just don't know how you've made the sound. And it does these things that, like I said, were so time intensive, and it's just hard manual labor. And by the end of a big edit session, my brain would be ready to explode. So this expands the possibilities for me on a compositional level, and I think that it can for you too, and other people that are interested in not only electronic music but just modern music in general.